A warm summer evening. Madison, a poised yet emotionally weary woman in her early 30s, prepares 2 glasses of orange juice and places them on the dining table for herself and her husband, Tyler. The kitchen is quiet, almost too quiet, the ticking of the wall clock filling the space between her breaths. Her hands, steady but tense, grip the glasses just a little too tightly. She sets them down gently beside 2 neatly arranged plates. Her eyes linger on the glasses for a moment longer than necessary. Tyler enters, his voice cheerful. Vanessa is right behind him, her laughter light and casual, though it never quite reaches her eyes. There's an ease between them that has grown too comfortable, too natural. Madison watches from across the room, her gaze sharpening as she takes in the closeness. The way Vanessa rests her hand on Tyler's arm a little too long. The way Tyler lights up in her presence in a way he rarely does with his own wife. They take their seats, and conversation flows easily between the siblings. Madison remains quiet, the third wheel in her own marriage. She forces a smile, nods where expected, but her focus never leaves the glasses. "Here, babe," Tyler says, nudging one of the glasses toward her. "Drink up." She hesitates. Her hand hovers over the glass. Something inside her coils tight. The smile on Tyler's face falters for just a second, barely noticeable, but it's enough. In that single, loaded moment, Madison makes a decision. She swaps the glasses without drawing attention. They raise their drinks. Vanessa takes a sip. Seconds pass. Then suddenly Vanessa's body jerks. Her glass slips from her hand and shatters on the floor. She gasps, clutching her throat as her body begins to convulse violently. "Vanessa!" Tyler shouts, rushing to her side. Madison doesn't move right away. She sits perfectly still, her own glass untouched. Paramedics are called. Chaos explodes. Tyler is frantic, holding his sister's shaking body. Madison stands back, her face unreadable. She watches, silent, as they wheel Vanessa out, and in her silence is a storm. By all appearances, Madison had the perfect life. A charming husband, a beautiful home in a quiet, manicured neighborhood, and the luxury of not having to work. But perfection has a price, and Madison was paying it in silence. She had once been a vibrant, confident marketing executive, known for her bold pitches and natural leadership. That was before Tyler, before the whirlwind romance turned into a cage. Tyler had swept her off her feet in the beginning. He was magnetic, the kind of man who made you feel like you were the only person in the world. Dinners at expensive restaurants, flowers sent to the office, whispered promises of a life free from stress and struggle. Madison, who had always worked hard for everything, had been pulled in by the fantasy of ease and protection, but it didn't last. Within months of their wedding, Tyler began reshaping her world, quietly, efficiently. He encouraged her to quit her job, saying, "You've worked enough for 10 lifetimes, let me take care of you." It sounded loving at first. She agreed. That's when things began to shift. Her credit cards were combined for convenience. Her phone plan moved under his name. Slowly, her friends stopped calling. Not because they didn't care, but because Tyler always had a reason why she couldn't talk. "She's resting," he'd say. "Too much stress lately." Then came Vanessa. Tyler's younger sister arrived after a supposed breakup, needing a place to regroup for a few weeks. That was 7 months ago. Since then, Vanessa had practically become part of the marriage. She followed Tyler's lead, inserted herself into private decisions, and took on the role of a gatekeeper, policing calls, dismissing Madison's concerns, and constantly suggesting she rest more. At first, Madison thought she was imagining things, but signs began to surface. Quiet, haunting details she couldn't ignore. A bottle of sleeping pills that vanished from the bathroom cabinet. A text message she glimpsed over Tyler's shoulder. She's getting nosy again, waking up with a pounding headache and no memory of the night before. Just Tyler brushing hair from her face, saying she must have had a bad dream. And once, a faint bruise on her collarbone she didn't remember getting. Still, she stayed, not because she trusted him, but because she feared him. Tyler's anger wasn't loud. It was ice cold. Quiet punishments, locked doors, a look that said, "I know everything. You have no one, except Keisha." Madison's best friend from college and former co-worker Keisha had never liked Tyler. She checked in when she could, often in secret. Madison would meet her at a nearby park, whispering updates as if the trees themselves could betray her. "Leave him," Keisha had said more than once. "Pack a bag, I'll come get you." But Madison would shake her head, her voice hollow. "He'll find me." It wasn't until the day she dropped a spoon behind the kitchen cabinet that things truly changed. Reaching back, she felt something foreign. A small lens. A hidden camera. Subtle. Strategically placed. She stared at it, breath caught in her throat. It was watching everything. Had been for how long? That night, she said nothing. Just cleaned the kitchen, as usual. But inside, something shifted. If Tyler wanted to watch, let him. Madison started pretending, playing the role perfectly, smiling, nodding, complying. But behind the performance, her eyes were open now. She started keeping notes, recording her own videos on a hidden burner phone Keisha helped her get. She checked every cabinet, every drawer. She took pictures, collected receipts, evidence. The mask she wore was airtight, but behind it, Madison was building something. Not an escape, a reckoning. And it started with a single thought. I won't let him break me quietly. The next time Tyler poured her a drink, Madison smiled and watched his hands very closely. Because she wasn't just trying to survive anymore. She was waiting and planning for the day she'd finally act. Madison sat alone in the study one afternoon, Tyler's laptop open in front of her. He had forgotten to log out. She never touched his things before. He always made it clear. His space, his rules. But something told her today was different. She clicked through the browser history, her heart pounding. At first, it was random things. Sports scores, real estate sites. Then she saw it. Untraceable poisons. How much cyanide is lethal? Can you collect life insurance if no foul play is found? Her breath caught in her throat. For a moment, everything stood still. The air felt heavier. She kept reading, scrolling through article after article. Then came the final punch, an open tab of their joint life insurance policy. She knew then this wasn't a paranoid thought. Tyler was planning something. With trembling hands, she walked to his office, where he always kept a locked drawer. The key was taped behind a picture frame on the wall, something she'd seen once by accident. She unlocked it. Inside, papers, a flash drive, and a small glass vial with no label, clear liquid, no smell, no reason for it to be there, unless her fears were true. She put everything back, carefully, quietly, then walked to the bathroom and vomited. That night at dinner, she decided to play her part, like always. Vanessa had made her usual passive comments. You're lucky, Madison. Tyler does everything for you. You should be more grateful. Madison smiled, her face calm, her eyes empty. Later, Tyler called from the kitchen. I made you orange juice, babe. Your favorite. It was the first time he had ever done that. Madison walked slowly to the dining table, every nerve in her body on fire. She saw the two glasses, one for her, one for him, or maybe Vanessa's. She couldn't tell. They all sat. Vanessa reached for the glass closest to her. Madison hesitated. Then, like her body moved before her mind, Madison switched the glasses. Quick, smooth. No one noticed. Vanessa drank first. Less than 2 minutes later, she started coughing. Her body jerked. Then she collapsed, her chair crashing backward. Vanessa! Tyler screamed, leaping up. Madison didn't move. She stood still, eyes locked on Tyler. Call 911, she said. Her voice was steady, calm, almost cold. Tyler's hands shook as he fumbled for his phone. Vanessa lay on the floor, gasping. Madison didn't blink, because this wasn't an accident. It was a mirror, and now Tyler had to look at it. At the hospital, doctors struggled to stabilize Vanessa. Alarms beep, nurses rush, and a team of specialists surrounds her. Her body lies still, a ventilator hissing with each breath. In the waiting room, Tyler paces, his face pale and hands shaking. A doctor finally approaches. She's stable for now, but her toxicology report shows traces of cyanide. We've already contacted the authorities. Tyler stammers, forcing a weak smile. Maybe it was the juice. It could have been old, spoiled. I don't know. But the doctor's eyes narrow. That's not how this works. Someone poisoned her. Soon, detectives arrive. They begin asking questions and Tyler tries to hold it together. It was a normal evening. Dinner, juice. Then she collapsed. We were all shocked. But Madison watches from a distance, her silence louder than any accusation. Later, in the ICU, Madison stands beside Vanessa's bed. Machines beep in rhythm. The woman who had mocked and dismissed her lay helpless. Madison leans in, her voice low but steady. I didn't mean for it to be you. I didn't know which glass. But maybe you already knew what he was planning. She wipes a tear from her cheek and walks away. Back home, Tyler unravels. He slams cabinet doors, throws blame like knives. You think this is all on me? She drank the juice, not you. That means it wasn't me. Madison stands still, her arms crossed. You made the juice. You poured it. I didn't even ask for it. He lunges toward her but stops short when he sees her holding her phone. She's recording. You've changed, he sneers. No, Madison replies. I finally see you for who you are. That night, Madison emails the kitchen camera footage to Keisha and to a private attorney. She also sends a voice memo Tyler left on her phone 2 weeks ago. In it, he said, "If I didn't have to worry about lawyers and a messy divorce, I'd be free." Keisha calls her immediately. You need to get out. Now file a restraining order. But Madison isn't ready to run. Not yet. I want the truth exposed, she says. All of it. She hires a toxicologist and a forensic expert. They analyze the leftover juice, the unmarked vial, and match the contents. The poison is identical. Police reopen their investigation, now fully focused on Tyler. Tyler, now cornered, begins trying a new tactic, gaslighting. He calls Madison's therapist, leaves voicemails about her mental instability, tells anyone who will listen that she's suicidal, depressed, and delusional. But Madison is prepared. Weeks ago, she'd started seeing a therapist. She asked for documentation about the emotional abuse, the isolation, and the power imbalance in her marriage. She makes sure the records are safe. She knows the storm is coming. But this time, she's not afraid. She's standing in it, head held high. Tyler sat stiffly in the cold, grey-walled interrogation room. He wore a crisp button-up shirt, but beads of sweat had already formed along his forehead. Across from him, 2 detectives flipped through a thick manila folder, their expressions unreadable. Detective Ruiz leaned forward first. Let's start simple. Did you prepare the juice that night? Tyler nodded, forcing a smile. Yeah, just trying to be a good husband. Detective Monroe slid a tablet across the table and pressed play. The footage from the hidden kitchen camera lit up the screen. Tyler unscrewing the vial, carefully pouring its contents into one of the glasses, then wiping the rim. His smile slowly faded. That's not what it looks like, he said, voice cracking. It was a vitamin mix. Vanessa gave it to me. Ruiz raised an eyebrow. Funny, because Vanessa just woke up. Tyler blinked. What? She's talking now, Monroe added. And she's not covering for you. Tyler's hands started to tremble. From her hospital bed, Vanessa had told the detectives everything, how Tyler had approached her weeks ago with a plan to fix his marriage, how he claimed Madison was unstable, how he needed to protect their family and business reputation, how he handed her a small vial and told her it was a harmless supplement to help Madison sleep better. I thought it was a vitamin mix, Vanessa had whispered. He said it was for her. I didn't know what he was really planning. She had hesitated that night at dinner. She remembered feeling guilty, but she'd never expected to end up in the ICU. Back in the interrogation room, Tyler tried to hold on to his facade. She's lying. She hated Madison. Why would she tell the truth now? Detective Ruiz stood. Because she almost died. The detectives laid out more evidence. Tyler's laptop searches, the poison analysis, and even voice memos where he joked about getting out of this marriage without the paperwork. By the end of the hour, Tyler had stopped talking. He was formally charged with attempted murder. Weeks later, the courtroom was silent as Madison walked in. She sat in the gallery, hands folded tightly in her lap, her lawyer beside her. Tyler was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, still clinging to arrogance. He pleaded not guilty, but the prosecution came prepared. They played the hidden camera footage for the jury. They displayed screenshots of Tyler's search history. They presented the toxicologist's report, matching the vial to the poisoned juice. Vanessa's recorded testimony played next, and her voice cracked as she admitted her part, unwitting, but still real. Then came Madison's mental health records, clear documentation from her therapist, outlining the emotional abuse she had suffered, starting years before. The DA closed with a quiet but piercing line. He wanted her gone. He calculated every step. But what he didn't count on was her surviving. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Guilty, on all counts. Madison didn't cry. She didn't cheer. She just sat there, exhaling a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding for years. Tyler turned once to look at her as the bailiff led him away, but she didn't flinch. He no longer had power over her. 6 months had passed since the trial. Madison now lived in a quiet, sunlit apartment of her own. It was small, but peaceful. Every corner felt like hers. No footsteps behind her, no eyes watching her, just silence, the kind that healed. She'd gone back to work part-time in marketing. The emails and meetings gave her structure, a reminder that she still had a life outside of pain. She started therapy again, this time not to survive Tyler, but to rediscover herself. And every Wednesday, she volunteered with a local group that helped women who had been in abusive relationships. Sitting in those rooms, listening to others, sharing her own story, it made her feel less alone. It made her feel useful. Vanessa came to visit once. Her face was pale and thinner than before. She clutched her hands in her lap as she sat on Madison's couch. "I didn't know," she said softly, "but I should have. I should have asked questions. I should have stopped him." Madison sat across from her. She listened. She didn't cry, didn't yell. She simply nodded. "I believe you didn't know," she said, "but you still helped him, even without meaning to." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry." Madison offered her a small nod. "Thank you for telling the truth when it mattered." It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was something. One morning, Madison received a letter in the mail. It was from Tyler's lawyer. He was trying to appeal the verdict. She stared at the envelope for a long moment. Then she dropped it into the trash without opening it. He didn't deserve another second of her time. That evening, she stood in front of her bathroom mirror. No makeup, hair loose, just her. She touched the scar near her temple, one she'd once tried to cover with heavy foundation. "You made it through," she whispered to herself. She smiled, not a big smile, but a real one. A week later, she attended Keisha's baby shower. The room was full of laughter and gifts, soft music playing in the background. Madison handed Keisha a small box with a bow and a tag. It read, "From the woman who finally walked away." Keisha opened it, saw the tiny baby socks and let out a laugh. She looked up at Madison with tears in her eyes. Madison didn't need to say anything. She was free, not without scars, but free. One quiet evening, Madison poured herself a glass of orange juice. She didn't hesitate, didn't glance over her shoulder, didn't listen for footsteps behind her. For the first time in a long time, there was silence and peace. She took the glass to the balcony and sipped slowly. The juice was cold and sweet. She closed her eyes and let the evening breeze brush across her face. There was no fear anymore, no camera hidden in the kitchen, no one telling her what to wear, where to go, or who she could talk to, just the wind, the fading light, and her own quiet breath. Tyler was gone. The trial was over. The poison he planned for her had landed him behind bars. Vanessa's testimony had sealed it. Madison had walked out of that life, scarred but not destroyed. She didn't think about revenge anymore. She didn't need to. She had her life back, and that was enough. She thought about how far she'd come, about the woman she used to be, afraid to speak, afraid to leave. She had cried in secret for years, but now she could laugh in the open. She could choose, and she chose herself. Her voice, steady and calm, spoke the truth she carried in her chest. "He thought I'd never leave. He thought I'd never know. But what he never understood is that I had already survived worse. This time, I was ready." She didn't toast to him. She didn't need to. She simply sipped her juice, smiled softly, and looked ahead, toward the life that was finally, truly hers. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uncover hidden truths and celebrate the strength to rise. Your support helps bring more voices to light, so hit that bell and stay connected.